I decided to use my real camera.
Yeah, screw those fake cameras.
So now we all have like face forward situations. I'm not talking at a screen while y'all get to look at my nasty silhouette.
I don't know how a silhouette could even be nasty. It's a silhouette.
It's the lips, man. They're huge. And you can see the creases in my neck. It's all bad.
Neck creases.
When you're bald, it makes it all. It's just that much worse. The creases that appear.
They get increasingly bad.
Come on, man. Increasing my pain.
I had to do it to him.
Have you ever thought about not doing it to him? All I know is doing it to him.
I mean, occasionally I think about not doing it to him, but then I'm like, I didn't do it to him.
All I've ever known is doing it to him.
I just shaved today, too.
Me too.
Nice.
Look at that. We're all looking kempt.
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 Is that a word?
It is.
Well, I mean, unkempt is when you're not
I guess
very
kempt
kempt.
is a word
so
if unkempt is a word.
You just don't hear people say
have it.
kempt very often.
Not many people being kempt these days.
They be using other words like fresh.
It's
Man, my
like-
beard be looking rich.
It's like couth. You hear uncouth all the time, but when's the last time you heard someone just say couth?
Yeah, right?
I actually hear that, like,
They've been using couth out in Florida.
they be using couth out in Florida. You'd be surprised. I heard that. I think it was at a restaurant.
Oh,
That's
my
very couth
goodness.
of you, sir. Yes, thank you.
How's that? How them perfect circles coming?
I mean, I'm trying, man. The worst part is when I smile. They go point down. They shouldn't do that.
They do a little
They shouldn't
bow.
do that. That's because they're already out and down too much. Because they they fudging all over my ducks. They love doing it to me.
We're
Listen.
doing it to him.
So it's tough.
Listen, if you smile and your mustache takes a bow, that's pretty fancy.
All right, so this is gonna be me the whole time. Okay, it's just gonna be. You're just gonna. I'm gonna have. Well, first off, I'm not even on the right video feed over here because I don't know what I'm doing.
First off, what are you doing?
What am I doing? Okay, now I'm on the right video feed.
That's
so, like,
way better, bro.
This is Anthony today.
Perfect.
Just on the
You've
corner
never
of
been
your
in a better
head
frame.
first.
I
Yeah.
really like how you filled it out.
Wait,
there.
Hold on. Let me turn around.
Dude,
Let me turn around.
You should photosynthesize right now in front of the camera.
There we go.
Nice.
I got my nice
photosynthesize, bro.
pink hair.
Oh my gosh. You copy a Markiplier?
Oh my goodness. Welcome to the A4NB4Y podcast, where we go chapter by chapter through the game. This week, we're covering the Akala region and Tarrey Town. I am Ryan Fonzie, a cup of mocha. And with me, as always, are my co-hosts.
I'm Cameron Hagee. A mostly finished bottle of Mountain Dew Livewire.
And I am Antson. And I'm just waiting for somebody to come talk to me about some cool new thing coming up, some new town I heard about on the horizon. Some bird told me.
Was it a little bird or like a human-sized bird?
Like a human-sized bird.
Oof.
Got those in Florida too?
I hear that. That's an ill omen.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, guys, this is Tarrey. This is our Tarrey Town episode.
Been
Been planning this one for a minute. Not really. I do have notes. I did go through Tarrey Town. I don't know. I mean, I take it you guys both played this recently. Cam, did you do all of Tarrey Town? I think Anthony did it like 4 weeks ago.
Longer than that.
I refreshed myself on all of it.
All right, sounds good.
So let me just say something.
Uh-huh.
Up until this playthrough of Breath of the Wild, I didn't know what Tarrey Town was.
Wait, what?
I think I might have told you guys this, but so I never knew what Tarrey Town was. I didn't even know you could have a house in Breath of the Wild. I was one of those guys that was like, Ganon, okay. I woke up, Ganon, let's fight him. Let's go. And I just went straight on the main quest. I did not diddly daddle.
I feel you.
You play
or
this
thumb
game
diddle
under a rock,
anywhere.
though.
So, like, when I saw these dudes, I do remember the guys you talked to, like the main carpenters that we're going to talk about in a little bit that you start the quest from. I saw the one dude's hairdo, and I just said, I don't have time for this, and I just kept going.
You talking about Bolson?
Yeah. And like I later found out he's such a cool guy, but I never knew this quest up until this playthrough. I'm like finding new things about this game, and it's crazy. I'm like this is like one of the biggest quests in this game, and I never knew it existed.
You judging a dude by his hairdo?
I mean,
Cam,
look at that thing.
Cam, you knew about getting a house in Tarrey Town, right? Before this playthrough?
Yeah.
Oh, all right.
I did it in my original playthrough.
I didn't want to be that guy that's like, let's do Tarrey Town. And then you guys are both like, let's do what now?
Well, that's kind of how it was. I'm like, what's Tarrey Town?
Yeah, I did it originally so
Such
I
a
could
good
get a
question.
new one of those Hylian shields, which I'm sure we'll talk about.
All right. So, Tarrey Town is a rebuilding project that takes place in the Akala region of Hyrule, the most northeastern section of the map. It is kind of where we found the Fang and Bone before and went to go see, Robbie's ancient or tech lab, the Akala ancient tech lab. We also talked about the Risk Peninsula and the islands that are just south of that. There's a lot of stuff that happens in this area. I think just maybe, 3 episodes ago, we talked about the Shrine of Power. But Tarrey Town is like its whole own thing. I guess you guys made a good point as in terms of starting with Bolson over in Hateno. Early on in the game, you can meet the construction crew, like the namesake construction crew. There are some like offshoot workers every once in a while that you'll run into, but the main crew is looking to destroy a house in Hateno. And I believe the lore behind that house is that it was the Link's house before the 100 years of him being in the Resurrection Chamber. And so everyone assumes that the owner's gone, and they're like, you know what, instead of trying to resell this or foreclose or whatever, Hyrule would do with a house, they're just going to demolish it and make houses that are more to their own standard. So we are able to save that house by paying.
Yeah, we're able to buy our house again.
Which, can we talk about that for a second? So you have the houses that are the, I guess you want to say, I don't want historic. I don't think that's the right word, but they're just the village houses, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then we have what the Sons are doing, and they're making this like little modern, like 2020s, like cube houses.
Yeah, they're modular homes. They're all built like cookie cutter in a way. Like you can kind of pick, oh yeah, I want there to be a living room in this one, and that'll just mean that there's like another cube. I went through a bunch of them when I first came to Hateno.
It's crazy for Hyrule.
They're all heart shaped if you were to look at them from the sky. They're all
Aw.
I didn't know that.
because they're all just 3 blocks, but in a V shape. And if you look at the symbol on the door, like they mark the doors with the Bolson construction logo, and it's the same shape. It's like a heart made of squares. So that's just little designer details that you can kind of see somebody put their fingerprint on, but the game doesn't
They're doing
really
their
care
thing
enough
out of
to
you.
tell you that that's happening. You just have to notice it, I guess. But yeah, we can save this house with now like 500 rupees and some 50 wood or something. Like you had some ridiculous amount of wood to get a discount on the house. Bolson's really into bundles of wood. In fact, all the construction workers kind of are. But that's going to be a huge part of tonight is discussing the collection of wood. So we save the house, becomes Link's house, but because that project is now over, that frees up Hudson, who is one of the workers of the Bolson Construction Company, to go and fulfill his dream of starting up a new town in Hyrule.
This man been itching to start a town.
And what better foundation to start his town on than the most precarious island rock formation you
in the middle of a lake.
It's
wonderful.
It's above Lake Akala. It's got one little weird stalactite bridge going to it, and it itself is just like an anomaly of a structure. And the thing could collapse at any moment. But this is where
we're not going to talk about that.
This is where we're gonna set our roots and create a new town. So when you finally find this guy again, and I think it like the game even gives you the Tarrey Town like title block even at this point. If you go there, it'll just be Hudson smashing some rocks. He has like no buildings yet. He's just trying to get this thing done. And you can offer to help him rebuild this town. Of course, in order to build a town, he needs more things. He needs more people, more money, more stuff.
More wood.
More sons.
More wood. Absolutely.
More
and
sons.
Yes, everybody, all the people who are gonna come and help him build the town have to follow the Bolson Construction Company protocol of having their last name end in son. People who are going to live there later do not have to follow that protocol. It's just a matter of being a part of the crew.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Everyone that lives in the town has to be part of the crew with the son after. If
you're going to be employed in town, I mean, there are some families that move in, their names don't end in son. But they also don't work for Hudson, so they just live there. So if you have the money, you don't need to work. Then you don't have to have the last name son, I guess. I don't know. The sons have seized the means of production. It's a very strange economy.
Oh, jeez.
All right, so
son's monopoly.
First up, he needs 10 bundles of wood.
Easy. Exactly.
Easy.
Yeah.
You got it on you. You probably have been carrying that since the beginning of the game. Not a big deal. This is a 10-step program, by the way. That's step 1.
This is going to be piece of cake.
10 bundles of wood. Not a problem. And he says, great. 10 bundles. This is perfect. Next, we need someone to do boulder removal. We need somebody who's brute, physical strength. Like, that's their skill. We need probably a Goron, right? So he sends you on this goose chase to find a Goron. Now, we've named everybody in previous episodes because we've been waiting. Well, I personally have been waiting to do this, and I've just been taking note of everybody as we go. So this is our dude Grayson. Grayson and his little bro Pellison. They work in the southern mines right south of Goron City. And Grayson has always dreamed of using his strength to make a difference. And this is his chance.
Oh, no.
I don't want to just go through the 10 steps without taking breaks first all to discuss what's going on here. But I honestly don't know. It's quite a process. Did either of you guys have trouble finding any of these NPCs? I mean, I know that we talked about all of them.
My original time through, I had trouble finding all of them.
Right. I had trouble with this guy. If we're talking first time we went through, I missed the mine. Like, I didn't even hit the southern mine on my way to Goron City the first time. So I didn't even know there was one. So I went everywhere that I knew Gorons to be. I went to stinking Gerudo Town because I knew there was a Goron in Gerudo Town. Wasn't the Goron I needed. I'll tell you that. There's a wetlands around here where there's like a Goron tourist. I don't even know what he called himself. He's like a specialist of Goron tourism. and he's wandering Hyrule trying to get people to visit Goron City. And I went and ran to them because I'm like, maybe their name ends in Sun. Nope. I went to every Goron in Goron City, not realizing there was a mine, just everywhere. I couldn't find this guy. I had to look it up, and it was like, yeah, go to the Southern Mines. I was like, the Southern what?
Southern window.
And
I actually remember Pellison. That one like that's not a name that a Goron has. Pellison. So when he said he's like, oh, and according to Bolson Construction, their name has to end in Sun. I'm like, it's Pellison. It's Pellison. It's got to be Pellison. And then you go talk to him. He's like, no, this guy's too young. I like looked around because I found Grayson. I'm like, this has got to be the guy. It's got to be.
yeah.
But yeah, I originally was like, it's Pellison. It's got to be Pellison. I didn't know Grayson
Pellison
existed.
with him too. I mean, this dude. I mean, I don't know how much his comrades there like relied on him as part of the workforce. But
he's camping.
Yeah, but he's just like, yo, Pellison, we out, and they just walk away.
He goes to the elder. I quit.
Right? He doesn't even have that kind. He just walks right out of it. Apparently, it's really lax. Like, there's no 2 weeks notice or anything.
It's like, wow, why has the Southern Mine been a little slow lately? Oh, you didn't hear? Grayson just walked off. Oh, when's it coming back? It's been a week.
I don't know that he is coming back. He took Pellison with him.
Yeah, he took Pellison too, so.
They gone.
We'll get a couple guys.
Pellison didn't have any questions either. He's like, I'm going to go with Pellison. He's like, Pellison, come on, we're leaving. And Pellison's just like, yeah!
The little mini me is just there to hype everything up. Yeah, let's do it, boss. We're abandoning all our friends and moving over to the other side of the planet. Oh, all right, this is what I'm talking about, boss. You show me the way.
So to the other side of the planet. Actually, a couple of these places are pretty close by. Yeah, Death Mountain's one of the nicer paths, at least. I mean, it's probably rough terrain the whole way, but
they can turn into balls.
Yeah, they just rolled on out.
Roll.
So Grayson becomes the #1 rock removal expert of Tarrey Town. Pellison becomes an ore distributor of sorts. And he's selling. In case you couldn't figure out how to find yourself ore in the game, he's got you for a heavily jacked price. He's there to help. Yeah, man, his rates are crazy. Like I think I tried to do the math, and if you were to like buy like even like 2 gems from him in order to get a 10 set to go back to Goron City and sell a 10 set to the Gerudo there who's like buying gems, it's like already wasn't worth it. His prices are just ridiculous. But he's doing that. Kid run the shop. Pretty cool stuff. You go back to Hudson, he's like, yeah, he's pretty much the best thing that ever happened to this town. But for the next step, and this would be step 3, we're going to need 20 bundles of wood.
Still easy.
Still got it. We're here. I ain't gotta cut nothing down. And he's like, all right, this is great. I can combine it with what I've used, make more houses. Amazing. Every time we come back with, like, after we've recruited somebody, there is another house, by the way. Like, it just kind of goes around the circle as we go. So he's like, you know what? I keep wearing out my clothes, but we don't have a tailor. So I'm just working through the holes right now. He's like, if we could get ourselves a tailor, that would help us out a ton. Like,
he says, go find a tailor swiftly.
Next step. But I guess, if step 1 was shelter and step 2 was clothing, they're kind of starting the groundwork for like survival on this rock, right? So he's like, we're going to need a Gerudo. They're pretty good at tailoring. You have to find one that ends in Sun. I know it might be a long shot, but you're the guy for this. And so we find Rhondson out in the Karakara Bazaar. And Rhondson has a story. She's been searching for the love of her life for quite a while, and she thought that her tailoring skills, she thought that her craft specifically would help her in this endeavor, that she would be able to impress a Vo with her amazing tailoring, but that has not happened. And her mother's been pressuring her, and it's been this whole thing. And so, like, you might have some questions like, well, what's going on? Like, are you okay? She's like, well, you don't know. Like, we're all out here trying to find dudes. Haven't found one yet. It's really frustrating. Need somebody who's looking for a tailor. And then you're like, well, there's this guy, Hudson. She's like, what do you mean? He's like, well, he happens to be looking for a tailor on the other side of the planet.
Yeah, literally as far away from us as we could possibly go for the most part.
Yeah.
And it's funny because, like, her responses they go from, I need to find a guy who's looking for a tailor, to being very much like, I take back what I said almost. Like, she's kind of like, well, I guess I'll go check out the town. Maybe there'll be some other guys there. And I'm like, we just told you that there was a guy looking for the skill that you said that you thought would help you find a guy. You know, like, what do you mean maybe there'll be some other guys there?
Like, the stars are aligned over here. Stop looking over there.
You haven't even seen a guy yet. Like, what's happening right now? So she
get that poor ghost going.
She's like, I guess I'll give it a try, and she like wanders off. I think it's a front. I think she knows exactly what she's doing. She's targeted Tarrey Town at this point. You've given her a
Just
target.
playing hard to
She's
get.
going for it. So yeah. Round 2.
Get back.
Get ourselves a
30
Rhondson.
wood.
Yep. Step 5. 30 bundles of wood. All right, things are starting to get a little hairy.
This is the point where you're like, all right, I already gave you 50 wood back at Hatino. I already gave you a total of 30 wood here, and now you want 30 more. I mean, I don't really have 110 wood chilling, so
Yeah,
maybe I gotta go cut down some trees this time.
the Hateno one, it might have been 30, but I don't remember for sure. But yeah, no, they're just wood hungry over here.
Get lots of wood.
So yeah, I mean, I think at
We
this
ain't a
point,
beaver.
I had to go make another run to the Satori Mountain and just cut down the whole orchard again. Something like that. I think I might have even done that before I went back. I think when I went to go get Rhondson, I made a stop then, cut down all the trees, went and got Rhondson, came back. Because I knew he was going to ask for more. I've been through this before.
Deforestation.
I know this rodeo. Yeah, it's the major crime of the hero of Hyrule.
Cutting down the forests. Hyrule can't breathe.
They grow
Yeah,
back
I had
on the
a-
blood moon. You know.
Yeah, that's right.
I had a real fun time when I think this was about the point I needed wood too. And you know how the Citadel is very close to Tarrey Town,
Mhm.
kind of? Yeah, so I was like, oh, I looked off in the distance and saw a forest. And it's on the map, it's called Torin Wetland.
I know where this is going, yes.
And so I'm like, all right, so my method of, cutting down trees is just bomb arrows. So just jump and then shoot a bunch of bomb arrows and you have wood, basically.
Oh, right. You have so many you can waste them.
Yeah.
My C-motionals, people might hate me for that, but deforestation.
It's a video game.
It's
you're
a
Team
Vigi.
Aqua, not Team Magma. You don't got to worry about what happens on the land.
Yeah. So I jump over there, use my parasail. I'm riding, and I'm like, all right, time for like James Bond action movie. So I shoot all the trees, and then after the explosion, I just see this guardian aiming up at me.
The classic James Bond move where he shoots down all the trees.
Link Bond. And but it was kind of like an action scene because I'm over here like jumping off of Tarrey Town Rock over here, and then I shoot all my bomb arrows, giant explosions through the smoke. There's just this like pink like it was straight out of an action movie. I freaked. I jumped to the ground. There was like a bunch of guardians in that forest. I didn't realize that was the Citadel. That was right there. That was the forest at the base of the Citadel, which is swarming with guardians.
Yeah. I mean,
I messed up.
There's 2 in the wetlands. And they're actually a mission later too, so we'll get to that, but I love the wetlands. That's another thing that I want to talk about when we get there. But yeah, the second you were like, I saw the trees, I was like, don't do that.
They're coming out the trees, man.
Yeah. So we get 30 bundles of wood by the sweat of our back. And Hudson says we need distribution. We need somebody who can run a shop. We need supplies. We need somebody who can get supplies. Probably somebody who can fly around and, do that.
They need the UPS.
It's like
of Tarrey Town.
a Rito would fit that bill pretty nice. See, Hudson's got it all. He's got it
Bill.
all figured out ahead of time, man. He knew what he would need. He's like, listen, here are the special races of Hyrule, whatever you want to call them.
Racial requirements.
And okay, Hudson's an equal opportunity employer, all right. Except for when it comes to specific roles. And who
He
would
has
be
a
best
whole
suited.
form for the EEO. It's fine. OSHA's involved.
He's just diversity hiring, and it's fine. That's what everyone's doing.
As long as your name ends in son, man, you'll be treated as an equal here, Tarrey Town. So he's like, go get us a Rito. We need a Rito. Luckily, we know our dude Flyson, who doesn't want to run his mom's shop. He wants to run his own shop.
Yeah, he wants to be independent.
He dreams of being an independent shop owner and not
Get me
taking
off
over the
this
family
rock.
business.
Get me over to another rock right now.
And so you're like, you know who needs a shop? This other precarious rock formation.
That's right. Just like home, my guy. So, we talked to him, and he's like, that sounds great. I'd really like to have a place away from mom and pa. I can be my own man. I can help build from the ground up a place that we can call our own.
Yeah, just don't fly too far over to the left there, Fyson. You might hit some guardians.
Fried chicken.
All right. So we get Flyson, safest dude in all of Tarrey Town, because if something goes wrong, he can always just flap. And we're able to get him back to Tarrey Town in order to get us ready for our step 7.
Wood.
50 of them joints. I think I had 25 left when he asked me for 50. I was like, "You're the worst,
bruh."
But I will see this town built." And so I went to Torrent Wetlands.
Hey,
and I actually had a pretty good time because I put on my sneak gear, and my sword started to glow because I was close enough to a guardian, and I was like, "Oh, sweet!" And then trees fell in one swipe. Because I had the powered up master sword. So I was doing some nonsense like lightsaber tree farming because there were guardians present. It's the most ridiculous thing I think I've done. I think I ended up.
I mean, that is what the master sword was created for, right? To be like a chainsaw. Kind of thing.
You're just a lumberjack at this point.
Yeah, you're just not cutting evil at this point. You're cutting wood.
Yeah.
You got to tame the wilds one way or another, man.
I mean that wood comes back with the blood moon, so it's kind of a monster, right? So, I mean, it makes sense.
I mean, the monstrous trees, man. Got to get them bundles. So, did my little collection mission, came back. He's like, "This is the most amazing thing ever." Oh, and by the way, I got engaged. And we're like, "That's amazing. To who?" As if we didn't already know that Rhondson was there hunting. It's funny, Rhonson's like pretty impressed with Hudson, apparently, with how he works, and he wears holes in his clothes so fast. She's like, they're actually kind of smelly because he sweats so much, but also I love him. So that all worked out.
He's very sweaty and makes a lot of holes in his clothing. I love him.
She actually said something
exactly
about the way he pickaxes. I think it's the first time she gets to town you can talk to her. And she's like, the way he swings that pickaxe, it's just so how I always imagined a man. I'm like, wait, you just like imagining like a man pickaxing, like that's my vo.
That's my vo. As all the Gerudo know, vos they're known for their pickaxing skills. It's just what they do. It's like, I think when we first talked to Rhondson, she was like, "Yeah, I don't know. I don't see myself with a scrawny vo like you." And then
yeah.
She wants a beefcake.
She wants a Hudson, man. I don't know.
I mean, have you seen?
He's a whole river.
Seen Bolson? He's got some guns.
He's got a cannonball haircut. That's for sure.
She hasn't met Bolson yet, so.
I don't. If I was gonna just throw something out there, I don't think Bolson.
Oh, I mean, sorry, Hudson, not Bolson.
Yeah, but Cam said she hadn't met Bolson yet with the haircuts. I'm just saying I don't think Bolson's interested in Gerudo.
No.
Just
No.
anywho, back to business. So
I got the names confused.
So Hudson is like, you know what we need? We need someone who's priest-like. Not a priest, just someone who's priest-like.
There's a line to be
Hold the
drawn.
ceremony.
Don't
And you know who's kind of priest-like? Is all of them Zora who've been alive for over 100 years.
Mm-hmm.
So
totally.
if you go find one of them Zora, they're sure to. That's like the number one spot. You're probably gonna find someone who's priest-like, who may or may not have been.
I
at
actually
one point a
instantly
priest.
knew who this was when I was talking to all the Zoras, because Capson, who is the Zora that we are looking for, was like, I'm getting old and I kind of just want to before I die, I just want to marry someone. I just want to marry a couple and then I can just go happily. So that's like all I want to do. Could you find someone that I can marry? And you're like, yeah, sure. I mean, if I run into someone. And it's like, oh, wow.
Before I
perfect.
go to that giant fish tag in the sky.
Yikes. Before I go to the Great Flush.
Oh, no.
All right.
Okay. So
Better to be smelling the seaweed than pushing it.
yikes. So anyway, he's got this just one more wedding and my life will be fulfilled kind of mentality. Which, if you've been living in Buffalo, you might remember on late 20-teens, mid 20-teens, even there were these bumper stickers and stuff that were going around that said just one before I die, which is like, people wanted the Buffalo Bills to win the Super Bowl just once before they kicked the bucket. And it's like the most morbid thing that trended in the area for a while. I'm kind of glad I haven't seen that a whole lot lately. It's rough. It's all rough. And his attitude towards it's a little rough, but we also know that he's looking to marry somebody. So we're going to go ahead and try to help out with that one. So we go and we let him know. He's like, yeah, if you could just find one couple who wants to get married. And he blinks like, get a load of this. I actually found one. I found a couple. And he's like, oh, that's perfect. So he goes back to Tarrey Town. Capson apparently used to be a priest. So he's not a priest anymore. He doesn't identify as a priest. He's like, no, that's not. I used to be a priest, and I would like to marry one more
Now he's
couple
just priest-like.
as a non-priest.
Yeah. So, he's just got that itch to marry somebody. Guys, like, man, it's been a while. I just
Been a while.
really want that matrimony in my life again, man.
I have a itch, and the only cure is to officiate.
By the power that's vested in me.
By the great fish in the sky.
From the depths of Jabu Jabu himself, you are now husband and wife.
Yeah. So we go back. Everybody's getting ready. I mean, even Grayson's just standing in the middle of town or something. He's like, I was told to stand here. I think something's supposed to happen. And then you go and you talk to you can go and talk to Hudson and Rhondson. And Hudson will tell you that he would really like his friends to be present for the wedding. So he wants you to go invite Bolson and Carson. Bolson is boss and Carson his subordinate. That's specifically how he refers to Carson. And that's what he wants you to do. He wants you to go invite Bolson, my boss, and Carson, my subordinate. And so I've heard of people playing no fast travel runs of this game to make it more interesting, to make the adventure more fun. If I was doing that and I got this request at this point in the journey, I would be pretty upset about that, and I'm glad I didn't do that. Because that's like an unnecessary trip. I'm like, you got Flyson, send him. If you need a gopher, come on now.
That just sounds like someone's like, hey, I want to play Breath of the Wild, but how can I make it more painful? Why don't you just not fast travel? That's great. I'll hate every minute of it.
I really
doing a
immersed.
Nuzlocke in Pokemon. The pain almost of that.
I mean, listen, if you really want to
it
spend
makes me
some
think
time,
of Skyrim. It's like, hey, why don't you just run across the whole map of Skyrim? Need to go from
thanks.
Winterfell to the other place?
All right, let's do this. Let's do this.
Solitude.
A for no,
Yeah,
B
solitude
for
works.
yes. Streams and Tony Giglione streams committing to a Elden Ring no warp only run, as well as Tears of the Kingdom no warp run. Let's do it.
How about an Elden Ring no walk run where you have to roll everywhere?
That's how
You got to play sanding.
So, no. I no to everything that has been suggested in the last minute.
Just no.
Just no.
No.
I don't wanna. Why?
No
Just
bet.
don't wanna.
That's crazy.
So we go and we get Carson and Bolson, and Bolson's like, Carson, we out. And then they go. It's pretty fantastic.
Also, like, they're still at your house. Like, why haven't you guys, like,
they
walked?
chill there. There's a little bit of a trick here because
Loitering's fun, you know.
They sit out there for the purposes of letting you upgrade your house up until it's fully done. And then even then, they'll still sit there. So what people do is that they upgrade their house. I didn't do this round because I didn't think to do. Well, I didn't want to put all the investment forward for this. You can have them upgrade your house all the way. Then they'll come here. They'll come to Tarrey Town for the wedding. And as long as you don't talk to them again, they won't go back to your house. So I'm already like, I feel like my house is where I need it to be. I can put 3 swords up in there and that's it. And that's all I want. So y'all can live in Tarrey Town from now on.
Just ditch them.
Because if you talk to them again, they're like, oh, well, that was a wonderful ceremony. Better be getting back to Heteno to continue our construction stuff. And then they'll be right at that tree again. So the trick is to just don't have the ceremony. You see them there, wave as you pass by. Don't hit that A button.
Never talk to them again in your life.
Don't do it.
Give them the eyes you walk by in Tarrey Town.
Like, yeah, you enjoy it here on this rock? Good. Stay right there.
You looking comfy. You stay like that. That looks beautiful. I'm going to enjoy my peace of privacy.
But now that we have everybody here at Tarrey Town, we can have ourselves a wedding.
Ooh.
And it is the most ridiculous wedding. I mean, listen, the officiating, I should say, is wonderful up until about the third vow. Where for some reason written in these vows is the vow to name any future children according to the Bolson Construction Company standards. I feel like this is the first time you've heard this.
I mean, I forgot that specific part, but that's great. My man loves his company. My man's part of the company for life.
He's a company man for show. Little much. I mean, even Rhondson's like, wait a minute, who wrote these vows? Like, that's not according to anybody's traditions.
I didn't sign up for this.
Was that the Bolson Construction Company writing your vows for you, honey?
But Bolson stands up for it. Like, she says, like, that's not a traditional vow by anybody's standards. And then Bolson's like, it's the most traditional thing there is. And then, you know, there's another off joke about how, like, I don't think that's the kind of traditional she meant, which I still have been thinking about, like, what does that even mean? And then, like, 3 other characters, everybody from the Bolson Construction Company that you brought that's not Rhondson is like, yeah, like, you gotta love that, like, vow of nomenclature. And, like, it's like a vow of tradition and keeping our standards and whatever. And it all felt very, I don't even know, self-referential, maybe, because this game, like, there are naming standards for things, right? Like, you're Link, Zelda is Zelda. Ganon is Ganon.
Bolson is Bolson.
Well, that's a new one. But, you know, the whole naming convention thing, like, to me, it just felt like, yeah, nostalgia and tradition. Like, it's great. See how much we used it? Because, I mean, even the whole Sun Company thing, I mean, we talked about that. All the construction workers have been Suns since Ocarina. It's just a thing. So,
yeah,
very, very humorous cutscene. But yeah, they you know, talk about thinking about the future generations and the traditions and the vows.
All the sons.
And it's fun. You know, one thing I thought was kind of interesting about this ceremony is that it was all like, it was very Hylian, right? Like, so So he says, like, the first few vows are like, it's before the eyes of all these witnesses and those of the goddess Hylia herself, like, do you, take so and so as your spouse, right? And that's kind of stuck out to me because I was like, does Rhondson like believe in Hylia? Like, is that pretty sure she would be like an 8 heroines kind of girl because that's more the Gerudo thing. Maybe she's just going along with it because she wants to get married. Maybe. I don't think the developers thought anything about that. Like, I think that's just an oversight. But at the same time, like, in reality, normally there's some discussions about that before you get to the wedding. So maybe neither of them are really that religious, and it's just Carson who's like, Hylia, be wed. What's the next one?
The bonus, the man himself, the myth, the legend, the man in the shadows in Tarrey Town.
You're talking about Grante?
I like to say it's grand because it sounds just fancy. It's got an accent on the E.
You don't pronounce the E. It's a silent E.
Nah, it's just grand. Yeah, because you got an E.
Grand.
So it looks fancy. Grand.
See, I always gave him the Dompe treatment and just pronounced that E hard.
Nah, man.
Grante.
You gotta realize the accent over the E. Grand. All right, anyway, but yeah, like, this man is just in Tarrey Town, and he is probably one of the best shops in the game.
Oh, yeah.
He is running
dope.
A shop, pretty darn expensive for everything. But I have, like, over 20,000 rupees at this point because I've been using the amiibos, so yourself. So, yeah, this man's selling climbing gear, climbing boots, sand boots, snow boots, the Hylian shield. I mean, the dude's just a legend.
He only sells the Hylian shield if yours is broken, because there can only be one. Well, unless you glitch, but you know what I mean.
Yeah. He's a legend.
This man is the son of Robbie and Jaren. Who's Jaren?
Oh, Jaren? He's from
Yes.
The Dragon Ball Super,
Oh my goodness.
Jaren. I was gonna stop there, but
I'm just waiting for Jaren to pop up. I don't know, at the Akala Ancient Tech Lab, yeah. All right. There's a 50-year age difference between the two of them. I didn't need to read into that much. Sorry. So Robbie and Jaren, who are in the Akala Ancient Tech Lab, Grante is their son. And he, which makes him a Sheikah boy with blue eyes and blonde hair.
He do be wearing the Sheikah garb, though.
I think maybe Jaren wasn't a Sheikah, to be honest. I think Robbie was. And
Robbie definitely is.
Because his mom also has blonde hair, blue eyes. So, I mean, I imagine if they're married, they would be wearing the Sheikah garb and taking on the Sheikah culture, but weren't originally Sheikah, kind of married into that, which is kind of cool. Kind of cool that there's a Grante out there who's like half Hylian, I guess. Half Sheikah.
Hybrid.
Pretty cool. Selling all this crazy gear. And if you didn't find it or lost yours or what have you, because when I first got to him, I think I had like 2 out of the 3 rubber things. I had all of the climbing gear and all the barbarian gear already, sand shoes, snow boots, all that. So, just kind of waiting on him to come up with some other clothing that I haven't found yet. But yeah, he'll replace anything that you lose.
It's got everything.
Really cool shop.
I lost my underwear.
Okay. Not where I thought that was gonna go, but all right. There's a family here. The most key character being Hyrule. The most key character being Honey, who is a young child, a girl I think of maybe age 5, who really is into monster cakes. It's the only thing she'll eat, and she's like getting sick because she won't eat anything else.
Hey, doesn't her dad have the same name as me?
Is Haggy her dad?
Yeah. Her dad's Haggy.
Her dad is the worst, but also has the same name as you.
That's me. That's my last name. I'm in the game.
You are in the game.
Nintendo was like, hey, this guy.
So there's a whole mission to make a monster cake using monster extract for honey. But aside from that, Haggy
Who
sends
like be
you on
looking
this,
helican evil.
the most ridiculous side mission. That's like, it's even named the hobbies of the rich. And he gives you a down payment of what, 200 rupees without telling you what it's for? Or is it 100? It's a lot of rupees. He gives you a big old chunk of rupees without telling you what for. He's like, here's the down payment. And you're like, what? And he's like, just take it. And you do. And then he laughs hysterically, maniacally, one could say. And then tells you that he expects you to go take out the 2 guardians down in the Tauren wetlands. At this point, I had already taken out the 2 guardians, and there had been a blood moon. So there were still 2 guardians down there, but I had fought them. So I just talked to him again and told him that they were taken care of. And he's like, oh, I saw the whole thing. It was wonderful. Here's your reward. And it was like 10 more rupees.
Yeah.
I think he gives you a red rupee.
Or, okay, 20 more rupees.
Yeah, it was real lame.
And he's like, what? Like, you think the down payment has to be the smaller amount of the 2 payments? Like, that is purely a common folk thing to be thinking. Like, you must be of lowly what
He
have you.
completely changes the game on like bounty hunting, right? Because in bounty hunting, it's like, oh, like, we're gonna give you like a quarter or half just in case you die, and then like you lose the rupees and we have to go get them because now there's rupees by these guardians. But it's like, this man just changed the game. Instead of giving you a quarter or half of the payment, he's like, nah, take the whole payment, go do the mission. I got like maybe a snack when you come back. Like good job.
Like a tip. Like, I'm just gonna pay you for the service.
The bag when you get back, man.
And then I'll give you a tip when you're done.
Another thing is like, this man claims he's rich, right? He's like, man, I'm gonna give you like 200 rupees. That's a lot, because I'm rich. I'm like, I have 30,000 in the bank.
20K.
I'm like,
thanks for the drop in the bucket, bro.
What is 300? Are you poor? Are you poor, Haggy? What is this?
It's like,
oh my goodness.
If you're rich, then I'm like affluent and wealthy.
I'm the Elon Musk of Hyrule, okay?
You're gonna give me some pocket change and you want me to go kill a couple of robots, huh? You just take out a couple of like ancient arrows, knock them out real quick. We're like, is that what you wanted?
Link like perfects it and like leans backwards a little and shoots them up in the air, and they land like in the eyes at the back, and they both die. Like, all right, where's the rest of them?
Most days I'm doing that before breakfast. Like, where have you been?
Yeah, come on, get on my level, dude. He's like, all right, he's a red rupee. That's all I got left. I'm rich, remember?
That's all I got left. I was saving that for medicine for my daughter.
Oh, goodness. I'm a terrible father. No.
Can we also talk about his look, though? Because, like, he looks kind of like, how, like, when you talk to the Yiga clan, well, like, in disguise. So it's like they're a normal Hylian, and then you talk to them, and then their expression goes from to... That's how this dude be looking, but, like, all the time.
Like, all the time. He just always has stank face.
There's a couple guardians down there really bothering me. Go take care of them for me.
He's like the most grumpiest person in Hyrule, I think I've seen.
Yeah.
Everyone's genuinely happy given the circumstances of Hyrule, and this dude's just like...
He's definitely got some like Southern wealth stereotypes going on. But I think we've spent enough time talking about Haggy.
I mean, he's great.
Haggy!
But yeah, I mean, speaking of the Tauren wetlands, though,
right?
This is how do I put this? This is kind of like an additional set piece to the major set piece of this area, which would be the Akala Citadel. So the Akala Citadel
is bussin'.
Excuse me?
What?
That was way too based, man.
No cap, bro. So
for real.
For real.
Uh,
We went off the rails.
no, the
Zuma
Akala
time.
Citadel has a ton of history. I mean, if you go up to it, there is an NPC who is trying to like go and visit because he had some ancestors who, were there when the calamity struck 100 years ago. The Akala Citadel Tower was a defense point that was manned by Hyrulean soldiers back when the calamity struck. It now is basically in shambles. There's trees growing all over it. There's no non-bokoblin life forms on it. I mean, it's surrounded by flying guardians. The whole thing is monitored. I mean, there's a tower up top. We probably hit that tower, all of us, earlier on in our playthrough. And it's kind of a sad sight. Kind of a pretty grandiose sight, though. It's huge. Just towering over the whole region, and this was kind of a major fortification that was meant to protect both the Akala region and Hyrule. The Tauren wetland. I mean, you see all the destroyed guardians that are in that field. There's evidence of a major battle that took place out there, and I don't quite understand why the guardians would have been coming from that direction. Seeing how most of them, I feel like back in the day, started from by the castle and kind of spread their way out, but maybe they were surrounded or something. And we go and fight those last two guardians, but there was a clearly evidence of some major destruction that happened here 100 years ago.
Yeah, if you guys actually want to play the destruction, they actually added the battle in Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity.
Oh.
So there's like a whole set of missions where you play as Link and you're like running towards the tower to protect it, and you have to fight through like hordes of Yiga clan members who are trying to do some ceremony thing with Calamity Gang. I don't know. It's like this whole thing. But yeah, it's in the game. And it was like, I don't think it was necessarily the battle that the tower got destroyed, but it was the battle that led up to that. So it's pretty cool if you want to check it out.
Nice. Well, I mean, because like the part of the concept of that game is that you go back in time and change the events of history, right? So
yeah.
So like the battle as it happened, leading to the tragedy that we see in this game, probably doesn't happen in that game because you change it,
Yeah.
But yeah,
Some Xenoverse stuff going on.
If you don't mind, I mean, I have the Making of a Champion book. There's an entire spread on this, pages 386 and 387. It'll be a little bit of a read, but I'm kind of down to read just the whole thing and just kind of discuss what we find. I have not read this before. I will say that.
All right.
Cool. So it should give us a little more history, given that we don't get this in the game. All right. So Akala Citadel, the kingdom of Hyrule's last stand. Dun, dun, dun. All right. So Akala Citadel, which watches over the Akala region, was said to be an impenetrable fortress. With the king gone, the kingdom's soldiers were in disarray and fell back to this famed fortress in order to put up an effective resistance. The soldiers were overrun, and 100 years later, few know about this citadel. However, looking at the topography and the citadel's ruins, details of the battle become clear. The functions. Akala Citadel sits in the middle of two roads that enter Akala, one on each side, and is perched high atop a peak in between them. A sheer cliff face forms a natural border all the way from the northwest side to the northeast side. A stone staircase to the south side of the citadel faces the main road into Akala, so a high stone wall was constructed for defense. It is unclear how many soldiers defended Akala Citadel, but due to the scale of the fortress, it's likely that many skilled soldiers were needed. The Akala Parade Ground, I actually went and visited there, is to the south of the citadel, and it is possible to see the living quarters at the top of the citadel. So it's clear that there were soldiers present continuously, even in peacetime. Reaching Akala Citadel requires crossing the Akala Span and the Akala Bridge. Due to its elevation, transporting provisions to the citadel would have been extremely difficult. In other words, during times of siege, it was not possible to reinforce the position. It would have had to be built to be self-sufficient and must have had enough provisions to last several months or perhaps several years. Akala's citadel's primary function was to repel invaders from across the sea and keep them from marching on central Hyrule. The batteries were set up to annihilate an enemy coming from the sea, with Battery 3 being the first point of attack and Batteries 1 and 2 cleaning up the forces that made it through. However, the battle that ultimately took place against the Guardians had Akala facing an enemy assaulting them from central Hyrule. So basically they were set up to fight the opposite direction from what they got attacked, is what I just read there, I'm pretty sure.
Oh, jeez.
That stinks. All right, hold on. There were 2 routes that led from central Hyrule to Deep Akala, the route that crossed from west to east on the south side of Akala Citadel, and the western road that descended a long road into the valley. The western road was directly exposed to an attack from the fortress, which made it unsuitable for an invasion. Even if the invader managed to make it through the barrage headed its way from the citadel, from behind it would have been exposed to counterattack from the fortress. Thus, it would have made more sense for an enemy to try to attack via the southern road, but they would have had to face the 3 well-positioned batteries if they made the attempt. It was thought that the powerful batteries would provide an onslaught that a foe could not hope to survive. Batteries 1 and 2 had different fields of fire due to the difference in their elevation, increasing their firepower and attack range. Battery 3's range covered the east side of Akala Citadel and eliminated the enemies that survived attacks from Batteries 1 and 2. So there's a lot that a map would really help you with right now. And they're
I'm looking at it.
I'm looking at the Battery
map.
1, 2, and 3 on the thing. I'll probably take a picture and put it up on the video just so people can see what I'm talking about here. Due to these factors, Akala Citadel could have defended itself from any traditional foe attacking from either direction and was a more than sufficient defensive position for the large tactical role it played in the defense of Hyrule. However, the Guardians' assault was outside the realm of what those that designed Akala Citadel could have imagined. Faced with an unanticipated amount of firepower and numbers from an unanticipated route, the impenetrable fortress finally fell. So then we have some images and some things that kind of just go more in depth on specific details. There's a picture of a cannon here, and it says the cannons were the last line of defense the soldiers of Hyrule had against the Guardians. They still stand where they were last used. Exposure to wind and rain has rusted them, and spiderwebs now adorn the barrels. They will not see action again. Citadel and the Tower. All right. The Akala Tower is presently visible emerging through the center of the Akala Citadel ruins. The Citadel boasted top-tier construction, but the existence of the Sheikah Tower was not discovered during its creation. The tower was likely buried deep within the ground. One can only speculate how events would have changed had they discovered the tower at that time, which is a wild thing for this book to say, that tower was actually underground and stuck up so far that it came out the top of the tower.
Yeah.
All right. Sorry. Anyway. All right. Here we go. There are no cannons. This is just like a little side note. There are no cannons in either Hyrule Castle or the military training camp. Aside from the Sheikah's technological terrors, the cannons were likely the most powerful weapon in Hyrule. The fact that Akala Citadel possessed them indicates that a significant level of fighting was anticipated. While it isn't known how powerful the cannons were, it is obvious from Akala's tactical significance they played a large role in Hyrule's defense. So it's basically just there are no other cannons. They were all put on the Citadel because the Citadel was the main point of defense for the city.
Should we be protecting Hyrule Castle?
No.
Because it's where the king is and Zelda, and I don't know, maybe the Citadel is kind of a couple
Overhyped.
miles down the road from the castle. No, just put them on the Citadel. It's fine.
It's funny that it says that it was supposed to be defending the city from attacks from the sea.
I get that. It is on the side of the sea.
Is it really?
Yeah, where the castle is, it's east of the castle. It's between basically 2 mountain ranges. It's between Elden Volcano and whatever mountain range is where the Zora live.
Right. No, I see that. To me, it just seems
pretty strategic.
It seems like something coming in from the ocean is going to have to stop. It's gonna people are gonna have to get off of their boats over at Rift Peninsula in order to make that attack. So it's not meant to be fighting the ships themselves. It's meant to be keeping anyone from basically invading from this direction that came from the sea
Yeah.
in order to get through.
But also
Gotcha.
Hyrule has like, a whole south border near Llewellyn, so like there's no citadel over
Yeah.
there.
It's very separate.
Yeah, it's true.
Like the whole Lanayru wetlands and everything. Like there's a whole section here. Like there's some distance between Central Hyrule and the Citadel. It's kind of wild that the Guardians all came from Central Hyrule and like went all the way over there just to destroy the Citadel. Yeah. So it's like this huge monument of loss. And it's not the only one. It's the only citadel. It's the only like major military encampment that we see. But there are other ruins across Hyrule, and I know like
Well, there
that was
the fort that we talked about before. What was that fort called? Fort Hateno or
Fort
something?
Hateno. Yeah, that has actually a very similar feel. There's the Blatchery Plain, where there's actually a memory that we're going to go over later that kind of explains why there's so many dead guardians in that area. But it's a similar thing. Like there was a major defense that was performed there, I will say, and so similarly, you end up with a big field of dead guardians because there was a major battle there. That one, I think, protected what it needed to at the time, but also, it's a major story point, so I don't want to spoil anything.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's another evidence of the battle. I don't know too many other places where there's a ton of dead guardians, but there are some cool spots that are just straight up ruins. There's the Dea Village ruins.
Yeah. That's sad.
Yeah, you can see like all the buildings, what would be like paths through them, and everything's just destroyed. I think at one point I tried to figure out if that was supposed to map on anything that we knew, like was it like the Ocarina of Time's Kakariko or something like that, but I wasn't able to parse anything. I wasn't able to figure out anything like that. Just kind of looks like it was a nice town until it got destroyed.
This was a video that I probably watched years ago, like years ago.
Mm-hmm.
But so I can't even credit the guy who said this, but whoever this guy was, said that the village is very similar to the village where Link came from in Twilight Princess. Yeah.
Like Ordon?
Whatever. I don't even remember the name, but that's what they said. It's like very like structurally and like the buildings, kind of like the look of them, like everything. It's not like in a swamp, but
I could see the shape. Well, that's the thing. I don't know that area always was a swamp. If there's houses, it probably wasn't.
it was like I think that he said it was like modeled to be like that town or something.
It's funny. I typed in Ordon, just Ordon, and Ordon Village does come up as the Zelda thing, but also there's a character named Ordon in the Dark Crystal Netflix series. That's like the father of the main character. Anyway, if you're a Dark Crystal fan, just know that Ordon was also used
light
there.
crystals, actually.
I was hoping for a map. I did not find one. But I could see that. That would be kind of a cool reference.
Yeah.
It's kind of a sad reference, but cool.
So cool.
All right. If you can figure out who said that, let me know. We'll credit them in the thing.
Yeah, I have to do some YouTube digging.
It does have the same. Yeah, it's got like a little zone that would be where Link's treehouse was and everything.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, that's not what I expected. And it's even in the right position according to like where it is compared to Hyrule Field as well.
And I think like where it was full of a lot of water, right? Like there was like rivers and ponds and that village. So like
there was a river that went right through Ordon.
Easy to be flooded, kind of.
Yeah. Similarly, we've talked about the ranch ruins, I think, how they have the entirety of Lon Lon Ranch just in the middle of Central Hyrule. There's Mabe Village ruins. Mabe Village, I think, was Link's Awakening thing. If you go to the Hyrule Field, there's the Garrison ruin. Like you can find. I mean, I'm honestly like I went up into around the city, like, and not just to go into the Hyrule dungeon to get our Hylian shield, but I kind of went around in the courtyards. And it looks like it was beautiful at one point. Like so many cool things that I kind of wish were still around. Including one that surprised me because to the left of the city, there's a place called the Castle Town Prison, which is not the same as the dungeon underneath the castle. So they must have had two different tiers of dungeon.
Of incarceration,
right? Like if you were a petty criminal, maybe you ended up in the Castle Town prison. But if you were like high profile, you know, or
in the dungeon.
political prisoner of some kind, like you'd end up in the, underneath the castle in the high security prison.
You one of those Lolians, huh? Huh?
Lolians.
We got a place for you.
Rulians. Sacred Ground Ruin. Okay, one that I've been wanting to talk about though, because we don't have this on our schedule, because we do have some of these ruins on our schedule, but not this one. And we've talked about it just briefly because we started the game here. You know how the Great Plateau, right by the tower, like between the tower and the first shrine that you're told to get to, there's like this weirdly shaped lake. It's just like I don't even know how to describe it. Like there's a bunch of puddles of water all around, but there's one that's like significantly just a little bigger than the rest right in the middle of it all. If you have the map up, it's very clear what I'm talking about. So there's the Great Plateau Tower and the Omanau Shrine. And right in between that, there's this big lake.
Yeah.
That is actually the ramp that comes up from a gate outside the Great Plateau. So if you were to look just northeast, you'll see what is it? There's like a Gatepost Town ruins.
Mm-hmm.
Right by the Forest of Time. BT Dubs, shout out to the Forest of Time. But that Gatepost Town ruins, like there's a road that leads right to it. There's a gate built into the plateau wall there. Like the plateau is a man-made structure. Like that whole wall around it was made so that there could be a plateau. And right here was a gate that they would open and you'd be able to walk up into the Great Plateau area, which apparently, I mean, I think was at one point the main city of Hyrule before they moved to Castle Town up in the middle of everything.
Yeah, it was where the Temple of Time is, right? So
yeah, like the Great Plateau used to be Castle Town, from what I understand. They even have like some more ruins in front of the Temple of Time that look like the old Castle Town. I always thought it was really interesting though, because it's like that gate was closed at some point and was able to just fill up with water. Like the water just ended up pooling there, and that's why there's like you can see the bottom like sediment layered in as well. So now the gate probably isn't functional. If you were to open it, flood water would just come flying out in your face. But like it's I don't know, that detail always, it kind of hit me hard this round. I was like, oh my goodness, like this used to be such a different place. I mean, and every outpost and garrison and everything that you see between there and Central Hyrule is all just destroyed buildings. So I don't know. Just thought it was worth talking about a little bit because there's so much evidence of such a cool layered area. I mean, I really wish that there was another game that had all of these places while they were still alive.
That would be cool.
You know what I mean? Like when they were still
like a restoration.
Yeah.
Hyrulean restoration.
Have either of you guys checked out the Sage Temple ruins?
No, but I did go through there and do all the stuffs that had to offer. And kill all the guys.
I don't think I've been to it. I just happened to see it on the map just now and was interested. I'm having a moment. I need to stop talking about all these destroyed buildings. But
the Sage Temple ruins is interesting because it's It's sort of like it almost kind of looks like a temple
Well, okay.
from Adventure of Link, like the structure.
Oh, like that, like a palace kind of deal?
It looks like a palace. It did not look like a village or a town. It's kind of got like what is that place called? The dark place. Can't remember the name of it now. The place with no light.
The
The
Typhlo.
void.
Typhlo ruins, right? So the ruins, I want to say they're almost the exact same ruins. So like some of the ruins that like you can light up for a little bit and see in
Mhm.
those ruins when you're fighting at the end of the Hinox, like kind of resemble that a little bit.
There's Zonai?
They're very no, they're
Oh, okay.
I don't know how to explain the ruins. You just gotta have to go there.
All right. Just southeast of there's a place called the Ancient Tree Stump.
I've been there. That's
Great
where the
Flame Blade?
Great Flame Blade rests.
Great Flame Blade?
To me, that speaks of like the very first, maybe not the very first, the first one I found anyway. In the first Legend of Zelda game, there's a dungeon on a lowly island with just a single like tree stump with a hole you
Yeah.
walk into. I feel like that's like it's got to be a reference to that, right?
Straight at it.
It's hilarious. All right, I think that was actually like level 3 or 4 in that game too. It wasn't even supposed to be the first one, but for some reason it was
you always
the
end
first
up
one I
going there, and
found.
then you're like, I shouldn't be here.
Yeah,
Too soon.
so good. But yeah, no, there's some amazing location and world building in this game, and I know that a lot of it's tragic, and we've kind of talked about how you can take this game at face value, and you can have a lot of fun with it, not really digging into these things, or you can realize that you're playing through the post-apocalypse of Hyrule and kind of feel that hit. And I think that's kind of what makes Tarrey Town such, kind of just to circle back full circle this episode here. What makes Tarrey Town such a cool thing to do in this game, like the fact that you get to rebuild something, even if it is modular homes on a precarious rock. Like you get to have one of those unifying moments, you know. I think with Ocarina of Time, we talked about how the big Goron sword was like a unifying mission of you went to every other race to figure out how to help this Goron get his eyes fixed, right, and get this big sword, and it actually helped you it doubled your damage output if you did it. Like it was a severe reward for doing like a cool thing. I think Grante is kind of our reward for this. I mean, the wedding scene, like that's the immediate reward as well. But both of those things, both of those characters, both of those events, I mean, those are just kind of microcosm symbology of what we're doing here. We're bringing all of these different people together from across Hyrule, and we're ending up with a very diverse but very unified little rebuilding of Hyrule, which is pretty much unheard of. Like there aren't very many like Gerudo Hylian married couples that we meet in this game. We're told that they exist, but we don't see them. I mean, the fact that Grante exists and is most likely half Sheikah, half Hylian as well. Very cool detail to kind of throw in. And I don't know, like it makes me think of how, you know, it takes all kinds to really put together a team that's effective. You know, like you need there to be different skill sets. You need there to be the brute strength and the distributor and the tailor and the, you know, the worker and the foreman or whatever you want to call them. But yeah, no, I just, like when you look at all of Hyrule and how destroyed it is and all the damage that's been done, to be able to put something back together and to see it become something that honestly might not have even existed in the original Hyrule. For all we know, all of the races just kind of stuck to themselves and hid away in their corners of the map and didn't have, there was no Tarrey Town back then, and they were able to kind of put one together now. It, to me, like that that's one of the more inspiring things you can do in this game. Like that's one of the more meaningful things that the game kind of hands you and says, hey, if you're interested, you can start to regrow something here. And I appreciate it.
Beautiful.
It is.
Yeah, from someone who's never done the quest before, I actually enjoyed it. Even the wood gathering, it was like a break from the norm. Don't give me that look.
Even the wood gathering.
Even the wood gathering. I mean, it was fun. It was definitely fun. It was funny the whole way through. The comedy was just great with the sons and the wedding, and I enjoyed it and would not have known about it if we weren't covering it at all. Because I still would not have talked to those 3 guys and bought a house.
There you go.
Sons.
The Sons.
The sons.
Cool. Any final thoughts, Kim?
It's a great place, but it's got like 20 years before it falls off that rock. They should have picked a better place just at the end of the day. It's like everyone running to Florida, like, hey, let's build as low on the ground. You know what? Below sea level, that's fine. Ain't nothing bad gonna happen here. Oh, something bad happened. Oh, that's
See, this is what my take on it. We got Bolson, we got Hudson, okay, and we got Grayson. Do you think those 3 sons are gonna let this rock? No, they're gonna build. They're gonna put support beams. They're gonna keep that rock afloat.
Okay.
I mean,
we got the 3 greatest sons.
All they had to do was ask, and I would have cleared out the entire citadel for them to build on. But no, got to go pick the rock.
You guys want a fort?
We put a whole town right in the parade grounds.
I hope nobody's sleepwalking in that town because there's a little bit of a doozy of a misstep everywhere, actually.
Have you guys gone to the parade grounds? They're kind of cool. I mean, it's very flat, not a whole lot there, but there's a Hinox over there you can fight. But
I mean, I walked by them. I didn't really like.
When I saw that there was a parade ground ruins, I was like, what? They used to have parades out here? Like, it's just, I don't know. Stuck out to me a little bit, but it's fun stuff. So yeah, I'm just gonna tie it up with a ribbon.
Twist that finger.
All right, everyone. So that has been our episode of A for No, B for Yes. I hope you enjoyed listening. If you want to reach out to us, you can go ahead and get onto our website. The link will be in the description, as always. Otherwise, check out things like Semotionals or the Clean, Green, and Marine podcast. Next time we talk, we will be talking about the hole with 18 Guardians in it, as well as a few other key locations. But yeah, be on the lookout for that, and we'll catch you next time on A for No, B for Yes.
Yes.
Hey, you guys listening? Did you get all that?
Get all on.